Hello, my name is Grace, and today with Kaylee, who spoke a little earlier, and my colleague Fumi, we will be sharing with you one of the studies within SARC that specifically focused on the voices of children and young people who went to SARC. I've just been able to say as well that the recordings of our presentations will be made available on our website afterwards, so don't worry if you can't jot everything down or take any picture, they will be made available to you today. So, for context, recent research by the Centre of Expertise for Child Sexual Abuse estimates that at least 15% of girls and young women and 5% of boys and young men in England and Wales are sexually abused before the age of 16. It's expected that far more children are sexually abused than come to the attention of official agencies. As a conservative estimate, the number of children affected by sexual assault and abuse in a single year is around 500,000. From what is recorded in data sets by NHS England, in the year 2020 to 21, SARC in England recorded just over 7,200 contacts with those under age 18, in which half were aged 14 to 17, and 5 out of 6 were female. Children and young people were most likely to be referred to a SARC by the police or children's services. We know that medical examinations made up just over 1/3 of these contacts, and a further 1/4 involved other forms of face-to-face support, with the remaining contacts being remotely delivered consultations. So in the NESOC project, we wanted to understand what children and young people's experiences of recovery and support look like at SARC and beyond. There is a gap in our understanding about the long-term impacts of sexual violence for children and young people, and how their health and recovery relate to services and interventions that they access. So we wanted to gain an increased knowledge of young survivors' journeys through SARCs, health services, the criminal justice system, the third sector, and other arenas. We wanted this study to provide an opportunity for children and young people to tell us what was important to them in their recovery. We wanted to do that though in a way that prioritised their safety. It wasn't harmful, that they felt empowered, and that we took seriously responsibility as a research team, our capability of doing research with children, be trained in safeguarding, and developing positive relationships with professionals so that young people taking part could be well supported during the research. So, before we share with you what we did, and before you hear the voices of our young people, I want to take you back to the beginning of our journey. From the very start, we wanted children and young people to be involved at all stages of the research, not just as participants. So we approached a local young people's group run by CLASAC, a local charity in Coventry supporting young people who had experienced sexual assault and abuse. We met with this group several times as we designed our study. We had conversations with them about their recovery journeys, their experience of support, and ideas that they had on how we might invite other young people into our study, how we might capture that information from young people, and the barriers that young people might have to taking part in research. One of the things that this group suggested to us was to create a video inviting other people to take part in the study, and that's something that we co-produced with our lived experience group, both for our children's study and for our adult study. Now, one of the people that we met in the group at CLASAC was Kaylee, who's with me here today. And Kaylee is going to share a little bit about her experience about getting involved in the project at this design stage and the impact that this had on her. So Kaylee, do you want to just tell people your connection to CLASAC group?
I'm Kaylee. I was a service user at Crossack and the Young Persons Advisory Group. I then aged out and stayed on for a short while as a peer support worker.
Brilliant. So we've just got two questions for Kaylee. So Kaylee, when we came to see you at the group at Crossack, when we were designing the study, what was it that motivated you to help us?
What motivated me was that over the years, having conversations with other survivors, that there was this theme of wanting things to change, and nearly all of those had negative experiences. As well as the generation after mine, I was hearing that not much had changed, and here was a group of people wanting and willing to change and to shape it with real survivors' voices and influence. They showed that they wanted to do it properly. I'd like to add that during my time at Crossack's Young Person Advisory Group, young people wanted to be involved and they want this change and they want to be heard. Service users are way more resilient than you think, and it's important they are given the opportunity to be part of studies that shape services that they and others will be using.
And Kaylee, what impact did it have on you at the time, helping us with the project?
The impact it had on me at the time is a sense of hope for future victims and survivors, and also a sense of positive change that can finally come from this if the information is taken and implemented to better services for their users.
Okay, so I'll be addressing what we did to engage the young people. So we invited young people aged 13 to 17 years who attended one of two SARCs and were receiving support from third sector services. We did this to ensure that the necessary support was around them from trained professionals. For those aged 13 to 15, parental consent was essential. So we would engage first with the parents or guardians before contacting the young person. Parents who were contacted did not pose a risk to the young person. Those aged 16 to 17 were contacted directly. The contact details of the young people and or their parents or guardians would be sent to us after they had agreed or expressed an interest in our study. We contacted the young people and or their parents via telephone, email, or text. Through these mediums, we would address any questions or concerns and secure a date for the conversation to take place. These young people were invited to have conversations with us about the nature of their support and what they considered meaningful and important. During these conversations, we asked them questions such as, what prior expectations did you have about the support? What was your experience of the professionals? And how could we make it better? We didn't specifically ask any questions about the abuse that brought the young person to the SARC. Ultimately, the questions were open-ended, so the young people were given the freedom to navigate the research conversation within the topic of support they had received. Okay, so far we have managed to speak with 8 female participants who attended a SARC between the ages of 13 and 17 years. 1 Asian British, 7 white British who were attending secondary school or sixth form or college. The time frame between their last engagement with the SARC and the time we spoke to them was 9 months to 3 years. All young people either had their cases closed or withdrawn, and none of the cases went to court.
Young people's journeys of recovery look different. We can see here a glimpse into Clara's journey so far, showing us the range of people that she interacted with and had support from, and other things that were going on in her life that have influenced her recovery.
For some survivors, this may not be the end of their journey. They may need to revisit therapies and services again for their traumatic experiences, mental health and other related issues. Survivors of rape and sexual abuse can still be triggered and have relapses. It is not unusual to come out of therapy on a high. Service users need to know it's okay if they need to revisit therapy again, and that it's not uncommon on their journey. For some, it's lifelong.
We are now going to share with you a snapshot of what young people have told us so far about what was important in their recovery journey, exploring their journeys at SARC and beyond. The voices that you're going to hear are actors, but they use the real words of our young people. The next two quotes I'm going to share with you are from different young people who tell us about their specific experiences of going to SARC. They tell us about the impact of staff treating them with dignity, giving them choice, and helping them feel comfortable at SARC, something that they can still recall months and years after going.
I was feeling really scared. I was 15 at the time, but everyone was really kind and treated me with a lot of respect. Everything was like nice, and after everything, like the procedures had happened there, they gave me like a kit, like face wash, and they gave me a blanket, and like that just made me feel really like welcome and very happy.
I went in a police car, which was a bit weird, but at least me and Mum didn't have to find out where it was. There was a checkup and like things for forensics. That was not nice, but they gave you a sort of self-care bag to make you feel better about that, and there was a shower. They introduced me to a doctor that did the physical. She was quite nice and tried to make me feel comfortable. They gave me the option for the support worker to stay in the room as well, like behind the curtain to talk to you, to distract you. So that was really good, that helped. I remember looking through the leaflet that they gave me on the way home, but mostly when I got home it was more helpful.
And this next quote, this young person shares about their experience of interacting with the police. In this quote, they tell us about how the same police officer spoke with her at a home and also did a police interview at a later date. For this young person, they hadn't fully appreciated how these interactions would differ in light of the context. It was something she wasn't quite prepared for.
The police officers were really kind. I would have liked a bit more warning that the police interview would be the same as the small talks at home. It was the same guy that came round to my house that did the interview, and he was completely different and he was very formal.
Young people also shared about the impact of a CHISVA, a Children and Young People's Independent Sexual Violence Advisor, an individual who provides information, practical and emotional support, as well as supporting them through any police investigations and any court processes. This young person tells us about their CHISVA's invaluable role within the police investigation, making them feel comfortable and well informed.
When my CHISVA had an update, she would tell me, which I really liked. When I had to go to the police station, she was really nice, and she was introducing me to people. She was making sure I knew everyone who was there and who was going to be questioning me. And she was like very calm and slow about it, which I liked. It wasn't just like, right, can you sit in the room?
Young people appreciated that there were a waiting list for counselling. This young person shares how they valued communication with the service while they waited for counselling to start. In this quote, they also tell us about the impact of workbooks that the organisation provided for them while they were on the waiting list. They found these so helpful that they completed them really quickly, but the organisation wasn't able to provide any more workbooks that were age appropriate for them for the remaining time that she was on the waiting list.
There was this lady that would call me once a month when I was on the waiting list. That happened 4 or 5 times, and she sent me workbooks. They had lots of quotes, powerful messages and activities to do, like naming things you've achieved since what happened to you, getting you to think about positives. I found them helpful, but it was a short fix as I did them quite quickly.
The impact of personalised support, one where professionals and therapists were friendly, made young people feel comfortable. The impact of talking to them as real people cannot be underestimated. There is something here about the way in which support is given that truly has a lasting impact.
She provided me with counselling and it was really personalised. I remember feeling very lost and unsure. Was what I was feeling okay? Will I ever feel better? What I needed was someone who could help me with the after effects of the crime and undo what my family did afterwards. Any bit of self-esteem was destroyed. I needed to relearn how to think about the world, and that's the kind of support she gave me. She didn't sound like a talking textbook. She sounded like a real person, and it felt like I was talking to a friend. It felt comfortable and friendly, whilst also giving that professional level of support. She's one of the biggest impacts of my life. I will never forget her.
Time and time again, young people were telling us about the skills of therapists and other professionals communicating with them, showing understanding and acceptance, not just in what they say or what they didn't say, but in their manner and not being judgmental. Their attention to detail and thoughtfulness all plays a role in how the support was received and the impact that this could have.
She was just very calm, and she would never really speak that much, but it would seem she was always on my side. She never made me feel judged. She was good at asking stuff without being nosy, very thoughtful. I felt like she remembered things about me. She wasn't there just because she was paid to be there.
Young people shared with us how they appreciated having the opportunity to make decisions about things within the support they had access to. In this next quote, a young person tells us about how they have power to make decisions about what they shared and what they did in therapy.
If I didn't feel like talking about it that day, or if I just wanted to sit there and talk, or if I wanted to sit there and draw or make clay, I could make decisions.
Support within education was something that young people told us about, and there were examples of really positive support from school. This next quote shares some of the limitations in practice regarding counselling within the school setting, in light of when this started and when this young person would be leaving school. She didn't have enough time to build up trust and rapport with the counsellor. This young person also shares about the frustration of how much they could share as their case was being investigated by the police, something that others told us about, which was not just exclusive to school counselling.
The school gave me counselling, but it wasn't very helpful because I was in my last year. I didn't know the counsellor, and then I couldn't speak about a lot of things because, like, the whole police thing.
Young people shared about the significant impact of hearing and understanding that the abuse they experienced was not their fault. This young person shares how she felt that peers and family members blamed her for what happened, but the support she received from professionals and explained to her that it wasn't her fault, in her words, helped her feel at peace.
When your family blame you, your school blame you, it feels like it's your fault. But then, when somebody finally goes, it wasn't your fault what happened, you kind of feel at peace with yourself. You're like, right, someone knows that it wasn't me.
In this next quote, one young person reflects on the impact of therapy in her life, which she feels has transformed her. She shares how the specific type of therapy, art therapy, was the right thing for her personally.
Thinking back to it now and looking at myself now, I feel like I've come a long way, and I'm just very happy about how I've kind of transformed. Just having art helping me through such a hard time, I just thought it was perfect for me and the type of person I am.
And finally, one young person shared that for her, drawing things has helped to process and express the way that she feels. in a way that is easier than trying to find the words. As I play you this quote, I'm also going to show you a photo. It's a photo of a drawing that this same person has created. She was able to use drawing in her therapy, and even now, after the therapy has ended.
I think it's sometimes when you can't find the right words for something, sometimes just like an image can show you that and portray that rather than describing it in detail.
Well, what have we learned from our young people? Every young person has their own journey of support and recovery, which can be influenced by the provision of support received and informal support networks, as well as other things that might happen in their lives. Yet despite their individualised journeys of recovery, key principles were commonly valued, a lot of which echoes the messages that we've already heard today. For example, having choice and space to make decisions at SARC and beyond, whether that's a choice about what therapy they can access or how they engage with it. Being treated with empathy and acceptance, not feeling judged. This was something they valued at SARC and beyond with every person they came into contact with. It wasn't just about having lots of support, but it was about how that care is provided. And the importance of clear communication and being well informed. Young people appreciate that there may be uncertainty, and that as adults we might not have all the answers. But they do value us communicating that, and communicating things that we might think is obvious or take for granted. Young people expressed to us that they appreciated the opportunity to take part in the study, and for some, they said it formed part of their recovery in being able to reflect on and share with us their journey since SARC, reflecting on all the positive experiences and things that perhaps could have been done differently. Participating in well-designed, safe, trauma-informed research can be part of people's recovery journeys if we recognise their resilience and create spaces with survivors to do that together. Our study is still ongoing, so please do come and speak to me afterwards if you would like to find out how a young person can get involved in this. I'm going to end now on this final quote by Clara. Clara was actually the first person we spoke to in this study. Her mixed experiences of support and recovery so far motivated her to get involved with the research. I really do care. I want to campaign for change and do all the things. My own experiences with the criminal justice system makes me passionate about helping others, and I thought this does sound like a way I can help people. So, how ready are we in responding to what children and young people deem important as they hope to raise awareness of sexual violence and abuse and shape services for others in the future? Thank you.